everybody. I have a very special guest joining us today, one of the members in the Fit Body program, Lex Friedman, who lost 40 pounds in less than 5 months and achieved One-Derland. So, Lex, first of all, I want to thank you for your time and I want to welcome you onto our podcast.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you, of course, for helping me do it. And I just want to be clear, we're not done. 40 pounds, but there's still more work to be done. We're not finished.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Lex, I'd love to get started in this way. If you could give everybody a little bit of background on who you are and maybe how we connected.
Yeah, so like you said, I'm Lex Friedman, and I work in podcasting, which is a little challenging because there's another person named Lex Friedman who also works in podcasting, and we're not the same person. It used to be an original name, and now it's not. But yeah, I've been longtime friends with a client of yours, Anthony. And, more than a year ago now, Anthony posted that he had lost 20 something pounds working with you. And I commented, "Hey, congrats, man. It's amazing." Because I've been in a band with Anthony. I've known him for a long time. And you lit me up. You're like, "Hey, let me know if you ever want to lose weight." And I'm like, "Who's this guy? Who's this Ursulon fella? I don't need to lose. I'm fine." And I ignored it. And then a year goes by and Anthony's like, "I'm down 90 pounds." And I'm like, "Holy moly. I got to write to Ursulon." And I think, on a cruise when I wrote to you. Because for years I had been thinking to myself, one day I can lose the extra weight, but then nothing I was doing was actually helping me lose the weight. And I felt proud of myself because, I was using the Peloton every day and I was thinking that I was being thoughtful, but I was realizing I'm not getting it done on my own. So I reached out to you and basically we fell in client coach love is what I think happened next.
I love that. I couldn't agree more. And what do you feel like was the biggest challenge you were facing before joining the program?
There's too much information. It's the world is too Googleable. So you can search and see all kinds of different options out there, different ways that you can go, different diets you can try or exercise you do. You should do more cardio. You should do more weights. You should do, and there's just so many things. And I was doing various things that I thought were helpful, but I didn't have enough science backing the decisions I was making because it was not entirely whim based, but it wasn't precise enough. It was too all over the place, too scattershot. So I didn't know enough to know what I didn't know. And I didn't know what the right thing was to I think that I've known for, as most people do, less calories in is good, right? Less calories in is a way to lose weight. I understand the math of 3,500 calories and a pound and what that, but it just wasn't getting done on my own, especially when I was trying to do it mentally. Like, oh, I've eaten pretty well all day, so now I can have ice cream twice. Like that was not a good approach.
Yeah, the math gets wonky when we
Yeah.
start. Yep, yep. And what do you feel like the biggest reservation was that you had to overcome in order to take that initial step to make the leap into the program, especially
I
with all of it being online?
I remember grilling you a little bit because the biggest fear I had is that I am a lifelong picky eater. And I was like, if he tells me like you got to eat 3 salads a day, or it's going to be like it's asparagus and broccoli at least twice a week, like there's no chance that's going to happen. Like I can't do it. And so you said to me, "Well, what do you eat?" And I gave you a list of the foods I eat. You're like, "Yeah, I've worked with pickier people," which I loved. I mean, I don't know if I believe you, but you said you've worked with pickier people, and I was like, "Oh, great."
You'd be
And
surprised.
but that was the biggest thing for me was like, because I figured even if the workouts were hard, I can do a workout. I have taught myself over years that I can be self-disciplined enough to, here's the work I'm going to do. I'm just going to do it. Even if I hate doing it, I'm going to do it. But the food I was pretty scared about.
Yep. And what do you feel like was the secret sauce, if you will, of the program that helped you with achieving the goal that you ultimately did achieve, especially with you being a picky eater, in your own words?
It's really, and I think it's going to sound a little bit like I'm sucking up and a little bit like, you've affected my brain, both of which are probably true. But uh, it's, it's because we're both good at our jobs. My job is to be coachable and to be ready to hear you. And even if I don't like what you have to say, listening to it. And your job is to work with me and I don't think I don't think you would use the word limitations, but I'll use it. Like I have limitations about what I'll eat. There's only so strong that I am right now, even if I'm working to get stronger. And so you meet me where I am, which is good. And then the biggest thing is, it's not free. You're not giving it away, right? There's a cost. And from the very beginning, said to my wife when I was discussing it, and certainly to myself, like the cost helps me be accountable. Like the fact that I have to pay for this, I'm not going to screw it up. I'm not going to pay Ursulon and then not do the work. So there are days where I'd love to eat more, but there hasn't been a single day where I've tracked more calories than I'm allocated. There have been days when I've probably not made all the best eating decisions, but not that many. But I've never gone over what my number is, and I've never missed a workout that I'm supposed to do for you. I've never missed my in between workouts that I do that are just mine. Like it's my being disciplined is the key, and your meeting me where I need to be met is the other key. And it's like those two pieces working together have been perfect.
Yeah, I think that's beautifully put. I've once heard coaching relationship is a two-way street. It's like I can give you that 50%, you can give me the 50%, and it's because of that that it ends up working the way it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so on the other side of this, having lost the weight, how has your life benefited maybe in other ways? Maybe the biggest non-weight loss benefit that you've experienced as a result of achieving One-Derland?
Well, the biggest bummer is I got to buy a bunch of new clothes, but I'm not doing that yet because there's still more to go. I
Yes,
still
we
want to
do,
do, I
as you
think,
said.
16 more pounds. But the I wrote to you a couple weeks ago like that I found one advantage was it's the dumbest one, but it's true. Cutting my toenails was easier. I didn't know cutting my toenails was hard, but it's like it was so much easier now. I can reach better. But like I think the single biggest, benefit overall is just um confidence slash pride. I think those are two sides of a similar coin. But honestly, for a while, and because weight loss is gradual, because you see a lot of the same people fairly often, people weren't noticing that anything was happening. And I was like, boy, I've lost 20 pounds. I've lost 30 pounds. I've lost 40 pounds. Then it got to a point, around the 30 something pound mark where folks were like, have you lost weight? Like something about you looks different. It didn't help that in parallel, I have been growing this beard, which I hate, but have to grow for a show that I'm in. But the confidence not even of hey I look better, which I think I do, but really of I could do this. Like many people want to lose weight, it's hard. The reality of it is I think every single person can do it, barring a health reason that they couldn't, but it's hard. It's not fun necessarily to be in a caloric deficit. It's not fun to be logging everything you eat. So it's the hardest part. Logging all the food that you take in is easy, but I know if, it is not easy. But I know today if I start eyeballing my yogurt, my brain's gonna be like, I think this is 200 grams of yogurt. And it's like 5 days worth of yogurt if I spoon it out myself. But if I do it on the scale, then I know I can get 200 grams of yogurt or whatever the right serving is. So it's the, I've always been proud for years of myself that I am good at self-discipline. I can say I'm going to do these workouts, or I'm going to do this life decision, or I'm going to do this work thing. But losing weight's right up there with one of the toughest things I think a person can decide to do. It's hard. And so the biggest thing I take away is like, I'm proud of the accomplishment. But again,
Yeah.
not done. Still more work to do.
That's so funny you say that, Lex, because that's something that I've noticed is a trait amongst the most successful students that I've worked with, which is you achieve a certain level and there's more. It's not like you ever reach the finish line, if you will. There's always that next mountain that you're climbing.
That's
And
right.
I agree with you. I think that one day, it's not a big deal if you eyeball it. But if you compound that over 5 days, 5 weeks, all of a sudden it begins to make a noticeable difference. It may be
That's
not the
right.
best way. Yeah.
And it's, my my kids are just used to it now. They're used to seeing me take out the scale every meal and I'm measuring stuff and they are amused. There was a little bit where my wife was like, really, you got to measure this too? Like you're measuring your egg whites? Like, and I'm like, and now she's doing it. She's like, oh, I'm gonna start measuring these things. And like, it's there's a way, a really serious topic is disordered eating, right? Now I don't want to get there. Like
Yes. Of
I'm
course.
I'm careful. I'm thoughtful about what I mean. I'm
Yeah.
not denying myself. I'm just also not overindulging myself because I want to make sure I'm eating the right amount. And so I don't, there's at some point, we'll go through all the phases that you've outlined for me and I'll do the metabolic reversal. See, I'm a good student and I'll get to a maintenance phase. And then, at some point I won't be on the deficit side. Great. But I still am going to measure. There might be days where I'm a little sloppier about measuring, but like I know what happens if I just eyeball it. And it's there's an obvious benefit to the chore of logging all your food. The same way like when you wear Invisalign, I wore Invisalign for a couple of years, like your teeth are cleaner than they ever are because you got to brush your teeth every time before you put your Invisalign back in. And
Yeah.
when you're logging food, it makes you think more about that snack. Today the snack was a pink lady apple. I eat more fruit than I ever ate because of you. And but like that's what I can go in and log and like, well, Ursulan's going to see that and he's going to like, hey, good job. Way to get that fiber. Way to get uh
Yeah.
that satiation that you need. But
There you go.
it's I don't want to It's not like, let me go grab a candy bar because I know I will hear about it from you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. And I think you made a very important distinction there about this compared to maybe something more serious like disordered eating and what it could lead down to. What I actually find is this way of eating, because it's simultaneously teaching you about nutrition and macros, helps actually with your overall understanding of nutrition and in turn helps you develop a better relationship with food had you not begun to learn about these things in the
Yeah.
first place.
And I'd say, and I'm not giving away any Ursula trade secrets, I hope, but like you're really, you were, I figured you were good at what you did given the progress I saw with my friends, right? But the way that you eased me into the program was first, you're like, just log what you eat, just eat whatever you want to eat and log what you're eating. And then you're like, all right, now I want you to hit this calorie number, but eat whatever you want. And then after I was okay with that, you're like, now I need you to up the protein per meal. And like it was staged in such a way where it's like the change was, enough of an evolution that was like at no point was it like did I feel like I was denying myself or forcing myself to eat stuff that I don't want to eat. I had to learn from you about, or if you want me to get that level of protein, how the heck am I going to do that? And you're like, well, maybe don't order this dumb thing for lunch and instead make egg whites or have yogurt or have some salmon or whatever it is. And it's like those are all easy adjustments to make. Oh, that was the other thing before we started. I was like, if you're going to have me eating custom foods, like I can't spend hours a day making meals. And you're like, I'm not going to give you more than an hour of total food prep time per week. And that works. And you have been 100% true to that.
I'm glad I do my best to keep to my promises that I make.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah,
great.
thank you. And I think that's another good point as well is, meeting you where you're at. Everybody has a different like state of where they're currently at with their schedule, but also with their eating habits and things that
Yeah,
they've tried in the past and workouts that they can or can't do, whether they could do it at home or at a gym. And I think that's another important point that you bring up is I really do my best to meet people where they're at as well. So I'm I'm
it's
I'm
key.
happy that's yeah, and I'm happy that you recognize that as well. And Lex, what would you maybe say to somebody that might be on the fence? They're thinking about doing something like this. Maybe they're even thinking about working with me. They've been watching some of my stuff for a little bit. They've been watching you, seeing the progress you've made. What do you think you would say to maybe even a past version of yourself, maybe that initial version of you that saw Anthony lose the 20 pounds before you lost the 90 pounds? What do
Yeah.
you think you would have said to that version of Lex?
First, I know you often think in and or at least share and teach in quotations, famous proverbs, quotations, and insights. And there's certainly the old proverb about uh, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Next best time is right now. The if somebody's on the fence, they're probably right to be on the fence, right? Because the biggest question isn't does Ursula know what he's doing? Is Ursula worth the money? I can give you those. Those are easy. Yes. Like he knows what he's doing and it's worth the money. He gets it done. The question you have to answer is, are you willing to do the work? I know what you, as much as I was interviewing you before we started, you were interviewing me too. You even asked point blank, how coachable are you? And I was like, oh, I'm good at that. Like I like to be a rule follower. I like to be a teacher's pet. I want to do all those things. I want to check those boxes. I also want to be the fastest person through the TSA pre-line. Like I want to get, I want
Yeah, let's
I want
go.
the kudos everywhere. But you have to ask yourself, like, can you do it? And I mean,
Yeah.
I think we're all capable of it, but it's really, are you willing to do it? Because some of it's work. It's not all fun. The results are fun. And I think that a lot of people, I mean, listen, people talk about a runner's high. I ran for a while at the start of the pandemic. Whenever it was home, I did couch to 5K. I was running a 5K every day on the treadmill. I never once experienced a runner's high. I never loved running. That said, I do hit workouts for you 3 days a week, and I started on the bike and a couple months ago decided I was going to do it on the treadmill instead, and I'm running faster than I ever ran. And my heart recovery rate is faster than it was after months of doing this, and I still don't feel like I have a runner's high, but I don't hate the workouts. On the day I call them Ursuline workouts on the days that I'm doing yours, and then it's just my regular works on those days. Mine are more chill. Mine are easier. On your day, each time I'm like, all right, it's time. Got to go do another Ursuline workout. I got to psych myself up. But I'm always proud to have done it. So the question isn't like, can you do it? Can you Ursula do it? The question is, can you, person considering Ursula, do it? And I maintain everybody's capable. It's just a question of willingness. And so I think that's really what people are deciding. Um, if it didn't cost money, it would be much harder, I think, for people to have the self-discipline. That's part of it. As much because you've always wanted to lose weight, you've always wanted to get healthier, for most of us. But it's a little bit almost literally putting your money where your mouth is. Not quite, because that'd be disgusting. But that's the idea of like
Fair enough.
having the discipline of saying, I'm forcing myself to do this. I'm paying to do it. Like it's a big deal. It's like I can't stress enough. It's not easy, but it's so achievable. You just have to be willing to do that work.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's the same reason I have mentors, coaches. We were actually chatting about this before we went live, right? And I find that it helps put you at a higher level of operation and standard for yourself as well. So I do believe in that, putting skin in the game, if you will.
Right. I do a lot of executive coaching, and it's funny because sometimes I can almost like see not behind the curtain because it's not a magic trick, but I can see, oh, Urslan's coaching me right now. Like it's happening in this conversation. He's doing the thing that I do with people on different topics, and it's like the I have to do the same thing when I'm vetting clients, right? You have to see like, are they willing to be coached? One of the hardest things that I find as, because I do a lot of revenue and business consulting, sometimes people are paying me to hear things they really don't want to hear. And in fact, that's your clients aren't paying you to tell them things they don't want to hear, but they're paying you things that they're not going to do on their own. Like it's hard to make the decision to eat less than your body is telling you in your brain, like, hey, this is what you should go eat some more, go have some more stuff, or don't bother working out. And it's tough. But so it requires, like you said before, it's a 50-50 relationship. It requires both sides being all in.
Yeah, 100%. And Lex, with that, I'd like to leave everybody off maybe with a golden nugget. Anything that you feel like a trick of the trade, if you will, that you've learned as a result of being in the program that maybe you could share with somebody, just a golden nugget we can leave everybody off with, or any final thoughts at all.
Yeah. Well, man, I will say one golden nugget, which I'm not an expert on, and I think you are. Um, but people as soon as you post about any weight loss, people are, how'd you do it? How'd you lose the weight? And um, the the people who are a little more experienced on this front say, what are the macros? Tell me the macros. And I'm like, there's really only one macro besides calories that Ursula has me focus on, right? It's protein. I had no idea how important protein was going to be to the weight loss process and making sure that as I'm building some muscle, that the fat and all, I didn't know any of that stuff. And certainly, I've even had friends who talked to me about it, but they didn't explain the science behind it the same way or the logic of what I was really doing. And you also can hear other advice about other things. And maybe there's more than one way to get this approach done to achieve these goals. But that's one like nugget, just the thing I didn't know about was that how important that piece of it was, the protein piece. But for parting thoughts, I mean, I don't want to be a broken record either, but I, it's I remember in one of our early conversations, you're like, what are some of your goals? Like, what do you want to have? What do you have done at the end of this? And one of them I know was like, I've got all these XL t-shirts that I don't wear anymore. I only wear the 2XL t-shirts. I want to get into, I haven't tried an XL shirt on yet, but like I can see that we're getting there. Like that's going to happen. And you're like, I remember you said you're going to want to have your shirt off all the time. I think about this quote all the time because it made me laugh. You're like, there's no better feeling in the world than taking your shirt off at the pool. And I'm like, I think there are better feelings. It sounds like a good feeling, but I think there are better feelings. But the the biggest thing is less visual. I said visual and visible at the same time. It's less visual to me. The biggest thing isn't even the confidence I talked about before. It's like it is clearly healthier to be this size than it was the size I was before. I was at 239 pounds and I'm under 200 now. And that's I got three kids. My oldest is going to college in the fall, which like breaks my heart all the time because like they may never live at home again potentially. And we got planned a trip so we could make sure we had one more trip before they go to college. And like that stuff's tough. But I want to be around as long as possible. And I'll make any decisions I can that help on that front. And so that's what I'm most excited about.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Lex. That's beautiful. And I really appreciate, again, you taking the time to share this interview and share a little bit of the progress that we've made. Like you said, we're not done. We still have a ways to go. We gotta get to the six pack next is
That's
is the next goal.
Oh, I really appreciate you too, man. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I want to thank everybody for watching. I hope that you found value from this. And like Lex was saying, if you are on the fence, you're right to be on the fence. And I would simply invite you to have a conversation to see if there would even be a way for me to potentially help. And so that's it. That is all. Feel free to like, heart, comment, and share this video with anybody that you believe would also find it helpful. And thank you all for watching. Thank you, Lex, again for joining us. And we will catch you in our next video.
I
Let's
didn't even
see.
realize.